Hey there, beloved Ascension pioneers. Welcome to another video with me. So recently what's been happening is there's a lot of messages about Venus and love and that pure source awareness of who we are as divine children of Creator. And this is not what this video will be about. I just wanted to mention this quickly because it's something that's very interesting because what's coming through and for the past couple of days for me as well and globally as well, because we will have Venus moving back direct. And there was so much awareness, I feel, integrated during this time that we were asked to deepen our love and awareness for what is beautiful, for what is divine, what, our sense of creativity, divine creation, what we value, our most deepest values, and our relationships that are divine in nature. So authentic, organic, and pure, integrity, divine relationships. So if you want to read more about this, I won't go into it in the video because if I would do this for every writing that I do, then I would have so much content to share as always. So you can read more about that and our state of true source beings and children of source in my latest blog on Diary of Ascension Pioneers. And it's all about Venus and that beauty of self-love, which is the self with a capital S. So the communion with the divine and in ourselves and all things and that surround us, So what I want to talk about today actually is something that I was promising for a while to share about, and it's a topic that just is so broad, it can be put into a tiny perspective. It actually incorporates and connects everything because it's all interconnected anyway. And yeah, I am wearing my new Venus crown. If you haven't noticed, this is the one I've been working on this weekend. And it was just coming through, I don't know, and I kept hearing like Aphrodite, Venus, and no wonder, right? Everything is just so aligned. And when I'm doing my art pieces, it's not just, coming from me and my own soul, but also what's happening universally and everything. How I did the first piece with on the 1212 with the Mahatma energy, and then it just, there was the goddess's creativity with the turquoise, and it just kept on flowing. And this is how I do things. I just read energy, and sometimes I put them into words, sometimes I do videos, sometimes I put them into art. And this is what I feel this is so important. It's how we actually anchor ourselves, ground our divine nature in all that we do and in all creations that we help to build. So what I want to talk about today, like I said, is the topic of how we feed ourselves. One of the previous videos was about living in the light. Now I want to talk about feeding with the light. So this topic is something that I've addressed a few times. I've mentioned in bits and pieces of my different videos, and I also have a playlist playlist on feeding, the nutrition and liquid light and everything I was talking about there as a primary source of our nutrition, of our sustenance. So it's kind of like a topic that what I see in our grander collective is just still not being addressed through that wholeness of how we were truly first created, who we are as human beings, the correct recognition of the human history and origin, the influence on the human species that were external and that were not always benevolent and not always light. So a lot of manipulation regarding, everything that is just here now in the external and how we live our lives. And then moving deeper within to also reveal our own patterns that we have about how we feed ourselves. So how we feed ourselves is not just food. It's also, the music we listen, the words we listen, coming from others. All types of energy, because we're pure electromagnetic beings. We're pure resonance, we're pure frequency, pure vibration. So each of us has our own song. It's kind of like our own melody. It's the archetype of singing a melody and creating with it through patterns of a divine creation and perfection through divine principles. It's just always about singing, and bringing that something into form by putting it, into direct manifestation. So when we consciously engage with the form that we're now incorporating, we're like literally embodying form now. And for us to be really aware what this is about, we just need to take a deeper look on all of those levels, because what I see is a lot of individuals are still addressing the topic of food and different sorts of diets and nutrition and everything with certain labels and what they believe about it. And, some people will only address it from I don't know, the terms of what they feel is good for them. And, you know, maybe we'll work on some level, but there's not enough depth to really shift. So lately, what I've been doing is, and I want to talk about different spectrums here. I'm not sure I'll be able to say everything because this would be a daily video, not just an hourly video or half an hour video. But definitely, there's just so much here. And like I said, the first real shift begins when you look at yourself as a human being, as how you were created in the first place. So you need to understand yourself as an intrinsic part of Source, how you were created by Source, what was meant to sustain you and to feed you in the primary original cause, and what happened then. So like I said, knowing the human history, understanding things, seeing what are true patterns, what is the truth, what is being revealed to you and what is not, what is being still hidden from you, how you actually give yourself excuses, and where we're just putting a new paradigm that's actually just based on the old. Like what I see a lot of people when they talk about being raw vegans and talk about raw diet as to how they sustain themselves, how they sustain their light, is just one of the extreme opposites, you know, to how other people then just say, I can transform everything with light because it doesn't matter what I put in myself, because when I eat, I just transmute everything, which is, again, it's another BS. So it's a belief system. If you look at everything that they're eating, so these people are not embracing their physicality as one with all. While other people think that only physicality influences them, which is not our light. So it's just food. So we need to find this proper balance and the greater wisdom and understanding behind everything. And what I want to do is I want to share with you some of the revelations that, you know, that I just know on a spirit level. And I know they're an important part of the ascension, because a lot of people, they want to ascend in the level of how they think, of how they feel, but they just don't want to change how they physically live their lives. So food is becoming kind of a thing, kind of a trigger, a challenge for them. And it's very, very much out there, because just last week, I had a session. It was this weekend, actually. I had a session with the person who won a free session for my New Year goodies, you know, for my New Year draw. And you know, as we began to talk, there was like a plate of something there, and I said, "Oh, you know, I remembered our first session was about food, mostly." And I was asking her, and she said, "Yeah, I'm still having some things there, and still some repetitive things." And we were actually just exploring what's underneath, because I wanted to get her to the place to see what are true patterns behind it, so she could transcend them. And there's amazing what can come up. The beliefs that we actually form in ourselves that are not really of our authentic soul, that were not imprinted on us by Source, by that primary pure creation, but they were kind of like created along the way, that we were actually moving away, more further away from nature. So I really don't know where to begin, because this is just such a huge, broad topic. But I want to say that as we move in Ascension, we got to know that this is a really important chapter. It's not something we can skip. It's not like we can say, I'm going to ascend on all levels, but, you know, I'm just going to eat the way I eat, and I'm not going to just stop. So there's a lot of people even who are tuning into my page and my videos, but they're not changing their diets, because I've seen some comments when I was sharing about this, you know, how much they still feed themselves. Those excuses like, oh, you know, like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, you know, I will have muscle atrophy if I don't eat meat. I will have this and that. I get skinny, I get this and that. And all these beliefs that just are formatted here. And how you think will literally be directly transmitted to your cells. Your cells are the ones who are forming your organs. They're putting messages out there. So every molecule of that is being given that instruction. And we forget how powerful we are. But at the same time, we also forget how we were created in the first place. So my mother was just reading to me yesterday a bit of the chapters from the Anastasia books. And there was, again, the same explanation that I was giving already in my first food videos, you know, my nutrition and sustenance videos. And she shared how, you know, in the beginning, when humans were created, everything was like self-sustainable. You know, you just breathe the air. Everything was implemented in that air, you know, like certain ingredients, you know, like you have from the trees, like the I don't know how they're called in English really, but everything is there. Everything's there for you. So what this is called, and what everything that we breathe through in the sun, this was called liquid light. So our diet, it was actually not diet. It's not even diet. On that level of existence, you don't even call it diet. It's just how you sustain your physicality. So it's actually sustenance. It's actually self-sustainability. But now everybody calls it diet, which is so funny, in fact, because we believe that diet is an important part of our lives, like it's something out there, it's separate. So what we feed ourselves, we feel will be like a medicine, or maybe even poison or toxic for us, which is true. A lot of the, for example, a lot of the traditions, such as the Ayurveda and all of those, have a more wholesome perspective to this. But still, it just has bits and pieces. It doesn't have the whole. So what I want to talk about, which is hard to do, it's hard to put everything you know and understand in spirit, and you call it information and put it out there, and now you understand it too, because you can't. Like I said, the shift needs to happen internally. And a lot of people who do their work based on coaching about diets and raw foodism, which now is beginning to become another cult, which I'm saying nothing is wrong, but I believe it just gets too much out there, like it's a separate thing, like it's becoming its own religion as well. So everybody now is having their own religion. And we've forgotten what it is to feed ourselves, what is the primary cause of us. So the cause of it for us, what is its true nature, what is true meaning. Whenever I ask ourselves, okay, why am I eating? And really, really explore, like people who have patterns and they just keep defending them. They never ask themselves, okay, why do I say this about myself? Why do I describe the way I eat this way? Why am I really eating? And they just never get deep enough. They just come out to a certain chapter, and they feel comfortable there, and that's it. But on my journey, I just kept exploring. I just kept really, really exploring. Because for me, what we do now is, on my own vegan journey, if I can even call it that, because like I said, I'm not about labels. What I eat is I eat light food. So I don't eat death. So lately I was thinking a lot about the term raw. What is raw? Does it really have any magnetic law, vibration in it? For me, it doesn't. Say raw food, it's like the first thing I think about, it's like raw meat. So if you tell me I'm eating raw food, for all I know, you can be eating raw meat, who knows? Because one time I encountered a video from this person who was giving lectures about raw foodism, and she said that she's feeding her dogs raw meat. And I was literally, I couldn't believe how she can do that to her animals. Because it's just, if you don't know yet, there's people who have vegan dogs and cats and everything, because these are souls who are corresponding with love to each other, and they're getting to the next level and stage of their evolution. And if you would know how we coexisted in the beginning, when there was still a paradise reality for us, before we choose to play our own little, caretakers of ourselves, which really we ended up being really not. And none of the parts of creation were actually feeding off of each other. So when you look at it, not just like food, if you look at it like energy, like I said, what does it have? The vibration that it said. When you say raw food, for me, it doesn't really mean anything. I was constantly asking myself, well, why am I being not really infatuated with this raw food movement? I don't have anything against living food, but I didn't like the vibration of the word raw. It's just like raw. Well, what is raw? Raw, I'm eating something raw. It's just the whole attitude towards the food seemed like really non-loving to me. We should make love with the food that's being offered to us, that's being given to us as a gift, until we transition to a stage that we don't need it anymore, that we're going to return, those of us who want to return even, to a state when we're again naturally self-sustained by that liquid light in our own inner system of crystalline body template. So the thing here is that a lot of this is just sounds mechanical, robotical, even too instrumental. Like you just say, oh, give me my raw meal. This is my raw meal. It's just funny. So I was thinking a lot about this. Why don't we just call it life food? There's just two energies. One is pro-life, it's procreation, it's the love, divine love. And another is to distort this, to forget about what it is, to just keep it mechanical. So it doesn't really have that pure loving frequency. The same as, you can have two people and they have both made a certain dish for you. But, it's just they made it differently because their energy flew differently through their bodies. So whatever we eat, feed ourselves with, there's so many levels to it. Like I said, all those questions should be asked. Every level should be attained. Every nature behind it should be understood. And this is what it means to eat consciously, to live consciously, and eating is a part of this. So eating is not a separate thing. It's not like a separate reality. A lot of people, and this was a huge topic in this session that I had recently, they don't see how they feed themselves. This person was saying, oh, I always ended up doing the same. And I said, oops, I did it again, and the cycle kept repeating. And I asked her why. Think of this state. Think of it as an energetic state of how you feel when you do this, because this is so important for understanding a deeper why we do it. In order for you to know why you do something, you need to know how you feel when you do something, and then you can get deeper and deeper. And the closer you will be to the primary cause of this, what is really inside of you, what's making this happen, what is creating, which part of you is creating this, and where. And the wholeness that you are, this part has kind of, begins to dissolve and want to be, not dissolve, separate itself, wants to become the separate part. And then this part has its own reality. So it still influences the whole. And this comes through these patterns that you might unconsciously do, but you're conscious about it, but they still don't change. So this is what I'm talking about. For example, it's a really interesting fact to say that this person discovered that when they do that, they actually do it because of a belief that when they eat this way, they stay closer to their family who still eat this way. So they kind of want to suffer, with them. They don't want to, kind of feel like they don't belong. So they want to support them in this. And, the truth here is, are you really helping anybody if you're just staying in the old? You're just supporting the old. You're not making your own new paradigm. You're not creating a new system that's based on love, on your own soul awareness, on what you want to create for yourself. So this is just, you keep igniting that fire, and that's why it just keeps on cycling and recycling. So there's a lot of beliefs that can be hidden there, and this is one aspect. But like I said, this is how you feel. Everything that you right now are experiencing in your life will just directly reflect your food. So while a lot of people have this instrumental attitude towards food, like, yes, I'm going to make my raw meal, but it's like robots, who want to stay healthy. It's all for them. And of course, you want to sustain yourself. You want to be healthy. You want to be radiant. But what I feel is the energy that I feel from a lot of these people who are so into that is just too mechanical. They're not really coming from true oneness, from true understanding how nature gives you, how you feel gratitude for it. And it's just that mutual exchange. Like I said, until we get to the new level, it's just too mechanical. Like, here's your raw meal. Wow, look at the raw meal I made. And it's all so raw. But none of it really feels that love. And everything that I do in my journey is based on love. Everything that I want to share is based on sharing with love. And everything that I create for myself, like when you create a meal for yourself, I don't call it raw. This is my raw. Sometimes I was writing about it, but it just didn't feel right. And I've totally transcended this now. And like I said, you might have noticed a shift in one of my maybe past months articles and now, but it just didn't feel coming from me. So when I make something, it's a conscious creation. I made something, like you make a crown. It's an art. And the same way with your food. And you do it so that it has fully your vibration. When I do, for example, these necklaces that I do, when I put them on, it's not the same as when you buy one. And it can be really, like I said, so pretty. Wow, it's beautiful. But it doesn't have the energy signature behind it. It really comes through the love that you pour into, of course, if you're activated to that level of love and you have remembered who you are. But it just has that beauty of creation behind it. And food should be considered no other. It's just the same. Food will reflect everything. So everything that you kind of put into your mouth, it will reflect the exact same thing that you allow, how you allow it to be treated by others. Where's your boundaries with other people? How you respect yourself, how you know where your energy ends and another person begins. And all these things are the same about food. So if you eat in order to feel more accepted, a lot of people do the same with alcohol or smoking. They don't want to abandon their tribe because they don't want to kind of be alone or be left out, so they want to feel they belong, and they keep doing the things their soul no longer needs, and it desperately calls out for help. And notice me, so that way you have the symptoms. And therefore, one time you'll be just guided to see, and to see that you're not losing anybody, because if you form our relationships and relations on that attachment to that belief, I'm going to be closer to somebody if I'm going to be, eating this way, or behaving the way they do, or supporting their behaviors or their beliefs or their relationships based on that way. What you're doing is you're putting conditionality to that. This love is not unconditional, it's not pure. It doesn't come from you being accepted just as you are, as you want to live, as you want to eat at this moment. So you don't have to have, because I'm noticing this in this raw movement, there's a lot of judgment there. And the reason why I'm sharing this, and when I'm talking about what the meat is really, what's really there behind the whole meat thing and the animal products and just the endless chain of killing and torture and torment, I'm not saying this to judge anybody. I'm saying to anchor awareness so that we really get it and become the conscious co-creators for that change. But a lot of people in those movements, what they do, they have so much hate. They still have so much resistance to what is, so they make their journey better. There's somebody else's instead. They should just be pouring out love and awareness. So this is what I do. This is my path. And it is so important for us to see the truth behind this, okay? So let's get back to that state. Like I said at the beginning, we were created as beautiful beings of light, self-sustained. Everything was available for us. Nature had everything. We weren't yet capable to that amount. We didn't yet get it that we can do that, to play with it in a way that is non-natural, to go against the flow. And like I said, my latest article has a lot of that in it, so it's on my blog. And we were just pure. So that purity, that pureness of our inner center was mirrored in nature. Everything was reflected, everything was given to us. But we didn't, we took exactly as much as we needed. We didn't take more or less. Everything was in that beautiful reciprocal movement of that creation unfolding itself. And we were the perfect whole part of it. Then this changed. Why? Well, you can ask yourself that. This is not what this video is about at this time. But the moment we got away from it, we allowed other forms also to govern us, to tell us what we need to do. And in the times and histories of this planet, there was a lot of mass manipulation, because there were certain negative entities and beings from other races and systems coming who wanted to play with the humans. And they wanted to kind of, sculpt them or fold them and mold them and whatever in their own way. And, you can do that with the physical body, but not if you don't have the direct approval for it. So we're not really looking into where, in the terms of not just food, but food is our main topic here, because the food is the densest part. It's the physical part. So it will show you how you physically treat yourself, not just, like I said, mentally, emotionally, and all of that, but also physically, and where your physical boundaries are, and what you will allow, to put in your body, yourself. And this is what I'm talking about. And this cannot be done. You cannot be manipulated when you have the knowledge. But knowledge itself won't bring the change. The heart space of awareness needs to bring it forth. And this can only come through source awareness. So you can read somewhere, or I can tell you, or anybody else can tell you who knows about this. And it will tell you all this, which is so based on feeding off a dead energy of a dead body or anything like that, or produce that is meant for example, cow's milk is meant for the cow's baby, not us. We're not cow babies. Get it? We're not even the same size. It's just not meant for us in creation, period. No discussion. There's beliefs around it, and it can still make you do that and, participate in that. It's not the exact truth of creation. We need to decipher between the same things. It can be your personal truth, yeah, at that time, but it will not be the truth of creation. And the only way you will understand the truth of creation, not by being told, like I said, you can read about it in many places. The truth is out there. All you need to do is to do a little bit of research. And that is what I'm encouraging you to do. Don't listen to me or anybody else, It's just my own testimony and my own sharing, because that's why I came here to this planet for. And it's your own knowing. Like when I was a little girl, if they put meat in front of me, I was like, no, I just didn't want it. And they kept forcing you because they were told by their parents it's needed. You're going to be unhealthy. You're going to get sick. You know, your blood cells won't be right if you know if you don't eat this and that. It was just belief that was so strong and never really explored where it came from. And let me tell you, because it's all energy, when we feed off of another, even if it's just like a dead body or their dead produce, and it's not something that we grow for us, like nature grows, this is natural. And it just represents the energy of it. So you're feeding off the energy of another. What is the direct? I just read this in Sal's books. There was a definition of an entity. It was like, what is that? For example, negative entity. And it says the beingness that has forgotten about its own light, so it needs to, you know, sustain itself from the light of somebody else. So as you know, blood has all the codes of awareness. It has DNA. Everything is written in the blood. Blood is like tiny little crystals. They're all in the blood. Blood is sacred. That's why there's so much talking about also the menstrual blood of the feminine, but that's another topic of its own. But blood was always known to be sacred. And why do you think there's so much of these satanistic rituals and all of this that are actually going around the blood thing? It's because they know what it is, but they've forgotten about their own light and they want to feed off of another's light. Well, this is where it is. It's in your blood cells. This is where you're encoded. And your blood will reflect your purity or your impurity. And it's also, you know, where the archetype of the vampires came from. So they're dark. They're actually what is there in the messages. They're no longer alive. They're also not dead, but therefore they need to sustain this state by drinking the blood of another. Well, that's exactly what it is. It's energy vampirism that can, you know, be resulted in actual physical parasitical. I don't know, I don't know the word. Like I said, it's not my native language, but I don't know every word, but I know what it is. So you're actually being a parasite when you're doing this, and you're not even aware of it. It's like, where did these programs came from in the first place? Are they really yours? Are they really coming from your pure human beingness? Ask yourself this, because when it was my journey, I needed to come to that question. I said, who actually tells me what I'm going to eat? You know, what's going to be on my plate? And when this was research, I saw it was not me. It was the parents, and before them, you know. And once you shift, you will give the perspective that you can actually be healthier, look better, radiate eternal life, because you're not sustaining yourself on death energy, but only on life energy. It's not just to ascend faster, it's to be one with creation, it's to be one with all life. So it's not a personal goal. Ascension, which I oftentimes see as a new age goal, ascension, like, let me raise my vibration to get to a higher dimension. And it becomes sometimes with a lot of people that don't have the proper understanding yet, it can be a very selfish process. But in fact, it's a process of love, of being love on every level. That means not just you, it's all creation, it's all life. And I was already describing this in my past videos. So the level here that's really important to understand is the human history, how it was influenced, where these programs of carnal feeding and all of this negative cycles, where they're coming from, because they did not originate from the human race and how it was created in the first place. Like I said, it was a negative beings program. It was to keep beings in a lower state of vibration. And these beings are not just parasites when it comes to us, how they want to control us and manipulate us and have us as our little tiny slaves used for their agendas, because they don't have the remembrance of who they are in truth, of that light, of source, that a lot of us do. They also acting like a parasite towards, towards nature, because they're abusing her, you know, and it's not just here, it's been happening on other planets too, because there are certain parasitic races that just totally unplug themselves. And they will keep doing it until you remember who you are, until you take the charge of your own life and start feeding yourself life energy, life force energy. Not because of anything selfish, but because it's really important for the global paradigm shift. Because you do contribute to the collective, because the love of all creation matters. It's not just a sentence you write somewhere. It's not just a New Year's resolution or a vow that is meaninless. You know, like you do a prayer, but it's just not felt. It's just da 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 da. It's just being spoken. It's a reverence to all life. It's just beauty of that love. It's just knowing yourself as divine, loving your source, loving your creator for how it really created you through that unconditional love. And that love is just so big that no matter what we do, it's still there and waiting for us to remember again. And that means all parts of how we live. And why, like I said, food is so important, because it will show us in the exact physical sense how we still allow and where to be manipulated. That means that we, our own beingness, our own soul, will not have the sovereignty to decide, because it's already been decided before and you're not even aware of it. A lot of people are not even aware of it. They say to me, oh, you know, it's easy for you, you can do it, but I get muscle atrophy if I eat only plant-based food. Like, okay, so what happened if you were be sent to a forest out there and there's so much food there, there's even protein, you know, but you wouldn't know what to use because you thought there's no food here, because it's no longer in your DNA encoding. It is, it's still there, but consciously you're not remembering it. Remember that all true knowledge, true akasha, true knowing of everything is universal. Therefore, it means it is already written in every cell of your being. It comes through your DNA. But you got to activate your cells, you got to activate your DNA, which means divine remembrance. It can only flow through you. I'm just saying this to maybe trigger some awareness within you, but that truth can only flow through you. So, two people might find themselves out there in the forest, and one of them will see food everywhere, and the other was like, oh my gosh, where's my steak? You know, I'm getting muscle atrophy already. And they just wouldn't get it. Nature has everything for us, but how we treat it at this time, well, we're saying, oh, it's already being so, you know, or we treat how do they force farmers to be how they're doing their work. So what oftentimes is a result of it, they're being forced into weird regulations and rules, so they're no longer treating the earth, the ground in a natural way. So there's results that show there, and they say, oh my gosh, this year the crops is so bad. Oh gosh, you know, it's because of the way you treat it. You know, nothing's wrong with Mother Nature. It's pure life, but we need to get back to the source. We need to get back to the roots and how we feed ourselves and how we think about this, and what we see as food is just what's so organic. Like I said, it needs to come through you. It's not a knowledge that can be shared in just one book or maybe one diet that's like special diet that can save, you know, humanity. It's already there in the DNA. It just needs to be remembered. It needs to be integrated, understood properly, and therefore implemented, which means you got to embody it. And you know, when my mom was reading me also from the book, when she was describing what she prepared for him, you know, the one who writes the books, all that was there, all the food was natural, and, you know, like dry mushrooms and certain grasses and things that she also has her own garden for, like they tasted so good because they were purely natural. And there's just, when we have the knowledge, like, for example, what plant is meant for what, you know, when you go walk in nature, let it speak to you, tell you things, because it's universal. But if you live like totally separated from your source, you won't know, you won't feel. So you won't find the same food as somebody else might, because they're connected. And they're living as a being of pure connectedness with nature. So this is really important. I feel there's so much love still missing in the way we talk about food and our shifting and all of that. So I want to get to the new level of this, to like an enhanced level, is when you will begin to shift with your diet, when the change will be natural, it will be soul-based. You got to understand that when you do change, like physically say, I no longer feel this, and it no longer will be an issue or a craving, because cravings are actually not physical cravings. We think that, but beneath it, there are emotional cravings, mental cravings, everything that you're not yet whole. You're not embodying that wholeness, so it will be kind of reflected as a certain craving. So a lot of people say, so that you won't have cravings, eat lots of fruit, drink water, do this. That's just a momentarily distraction. Maybe this time you'll do it, but the next time again, we'll keep repeating. Because the true craving is your soul giving you a message, what really needs to be addressed here, okay? So when this process begins, you got to know that your body, after all of the old, it will begin to detoxify it in a huge way. I've been eating this way and just following my own natural soul rhythms and natural way of living for years now. But even me, it doesn't matter how pure you eat, because you yourself can always be pure. We are now in this form, but it continues to change its density. It continues to go lighter and lighter and lighter. So for me, I've noticed that every year, maybe yearly, I have like a cycle of totally body cleansing. You know, I get spots here. I have weird intestinal things coming up, like all out of blue. It's just all these things, all these symptoms. And then I get a bit weak in my body. It's not sickness at all, because I have no symptoms of sickness at all. It's just things, like things, or you're producing a lot of sometimes mucus. All of a sudden, all of nothing. It's like, Spirit shows me this as a total body reboot when you go to the next level. And when the whole of your body is actually dealing with this, your energy will be going there. So sometimes you might feel more weaker. You will need more rest and nurture, and that's so normal. That's why a lot of people don't understand this when they say, I'm going to get muscle atrophy. It's just that when you begin to eat naturally, properly, your body will need a while to adjust itself. Almost like if you had a surgery and it atrophied your muscles, they need a while to recover again. This is the way it is. For me, I've already shared this with you. My muscles have restructured completely. Like your hair changed completely every 7 years, and your whole body changes completely every 7 years, and everything like that. And every year I feel I have this reboot. I don't know how it is for you, because a lot of this is connected with our own internal cycles and understanding them as they are. But once this happens, you really got to know what's beneath it, what's the real cause, because in the end, it's all meant for the benefit and even greater expansion. But what I feel is a lot of people who are not fully at this shift with the heart, they want fast results. They don't understand the process, therefore they actually think that it's because you're no longer eating meat, which is not true. Because imagine you're eating that way for years and years and years. Then one day you decide, I'm going to be vegan. But you think your body's going to be happy? Your body is happy, but it also has a lot of toxins coming out and flushing them out, and it will need proper support, and you will need to get research about it, how to support yourself in that process, and what to do to supplement that. So a lot of people who make the transition first need to know what is the true food they should be eating. It's not enough just to say, okay, this is really bad for me, I'm going to eliminate it all together. But then you're so into those menus of how you treat yourself and what you eat that you don't even have any imagination what to eat now. So therefore, no wonder you think you're getting skinnier and all of those things, because you haven't done the research first. So don't be afraid, just take the conscious steps and listen to your body. There's so much information also from the truth coming out there. You just gotta, everything is law of resonance. You just gotta find the right thing that suits you. But understand your body, how it works. When you understand yourself as pure energy, you will know that at those times your body will be investing all the energy in detoxifying. Because it will literally say, well, thank you, finally. Well, now let me do my thing. And then you say, oh gosh, body, you got skinny. Now I don't love you anymore. I'm just going to start eating meat back. Is that really, really, really coming from awareness? It's just impatient. It's immature. It's, like I said, wanting fast results for not a lot of input and devotion. So in truth, like I said, you got to embrace the process, and when you do it with love. You know you're doing it. You're embracing the whole of creation, and therefore nothing is ever difficult for you. For me, it never was. I never felt like I gave up on something. I felt, finally, this is over, this path that wasn't even mine, Who lived through me? All these beliefs, that's not me. And there should be a great amount of happiness, not sadness here, So people should embrace those chapters. Like, yeah, finally I'm going to live in sustenance with light. I'm going to live a life-based life. Because a lot of the life that we live, it's so unconscious. It's so programmed. It's so instrumental that we just think that's normal. And then when you start to detoxify all of that, it will just, wow, it'll be totally understood. And in this segment, I feel it's also very important to address the fact that when you do that, for example, when you shift, and you will have a different feeding system. So your diet will change completely. Well, I'm using the word diet here, although you know what I mean. It's what you eat will change. And for example, you intake more greens now at this stage. And naturally, with that, these are perfect detoxifiers and, more antioxidants and all of that. And your body finally starts to detoxify. So what a lot of people, they think, oh my God, I'm eating this food, I'm getting even worse. So therefore, obviously this is bad for me. And they go back to old food, which again is not causing any symptoms because the body suppresses again. You know what the cancer truly is? It was beautifully described in one of the articles I read years ago, but it was such a beautiful, like a child example, like the children were able to understand. It was so beautifully written. Childlike. I don't know today. I'm not good with words. I'm still in recovery mode from my rebooting process. But the thing is that it was just beautifully described that, when children are little, everything, when they're still pure in their organism, everything they get and it's not pure, they get in their body, they will immediately eliminate it, like through colds and, sneezes and all of that, which we will think, oh, I'm going to give you that cold medicine and these tablets and this spray and nozzle spray and all of that. So we kind of say, oh, body suppress the symptoms, but that's natural. Until it progresses more and more and more, it gets into tissue and it gets suppressed in all of the body until the last stage, and after all these internal mucuses and all of that, you get cancer. So this is just what it is. And it's not just physical suppression, like I said, mental, emotional, all of that. And it all combines into one because everything is one integral whole anyway. So why the subject of food I feel is so important? Because it shows us how we are either conscious or unconscious of embracing creation. So when you come to the stage that you understand that your primary source is liquid light, every time you'll be out in nature, you'll be feeling how you're actually self-replenishing and nourishing yourself. But at the same time, when you're eating, you're doing it to have a human experience. But that experience will not come as you will benefit, and at the same time somebody else will not. So this is what happens, you eat a dead body. Well, that chicken surely didn't benefit. You did. You think you did, but at the bigger picture, nobody benefited. You know what I'm talking about? Because you didn't get any light codes from that. And you weren't really eating with awareness, and you weren't actually putting awareness into your body. You're putting the exact opposite. So like I said, it's important to understand when we still eat, although we know already that our source is actually liquid light, we take it as a transitory process. We take it like a process of soul alchemy and transition. And for me, my prayer, internal prayer, that means like my internal connection with source is always about source. I want to be self-sustainable. This is not I want to, but I am. I already am. I know that I am. And I'm just everything in between that I live now, it's just like a transition to that natural state of that I already am, that already exists. It's there as our divine potential. And whatever I feed myself in between, it's just something I create for myself, but it needs to have a vibration of love. It needs to be coming through the awareness of my soul. You got to observe when it's really a message from the soul, like I want this, these nutrients are good, or when it's just a craving. You might feel, oh, but I'm eating soul consciously. My soul wants meat, and it's okay. Ask yourself the questions that I said, that I mentioned before, and ask yourself, where's this coming from? Because the voice of the soul doesn't speak that way. The voice of the soul wants life, not death, because the soul is life. It's created through life. So this is a complex topic, but at the same time, once you get to the very bottom of it, it's also very simple. And what awaits on the other side is the beauty of your own natural choices, of your own higher understanding, of your own right to take what you choose to co-create in your reality and what you want to intake in your reality, also in your bodies, will be your choice and yours alone when you will be those beliefs free and all of that. And like I said, let's just be conscious about it. Let's not just create another food cult, because it's not what this is. It's an intimate but also collective ascension process that it's based on soul alchemy, because we, face it or not, we're pure chemistry. That's what we are. And when you're putting things in your body, you're either supporting your divine natural chemistry, or you're actually creating this distorted version of it. So the choice is yours, as always. The clock is 44:33. What a beautiful message once I look at this. And it's time for me to say goodbye for now. And like I said, if you also have these moments when you're either cleansing very intensely or detoxifying, or your body just needs more rest, it's always for your progression. It's not the same tiredness that you feel if you eat like a heavy meal and you feel tired. When you're in that next level of ascending and also, contributing to that process with how you physically support yourself, you will see that a lot of those contributions to it will sometimes cause you to have these cleansing periods and cycles, which on the long run will always be for your greater potential and benefit of expansion. So my beloved ones, I hope you somehow profited from that. If not, that's fine as well. Everything I know, it's always yours. It's always from everybody. It's never meant to be just for me. I cannot keep anything inside. It's just who I am. It's just what I am. It's how I do things. And like I said, always through love and awareness. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Much love.